Good morning and welcome to Naturally Kim's Knitting. I'm Kim and I am your hostess. Today is January 3rd, um, 2018. I had to get the year right. Um, this is a podcast all about knitting and spinning and dyeing of yarn. Um, Starting next week, there might be a little sewing in it. Since we're past the holiday stuff, I can actually have the kitchen table to sew on again. But it's all that is done right outside of Lima, Ohio. I'm sorry, I have three bird feeders outside my window, and I just love watching the birds as they eat. So this may not be a good place for me to actually film, but hey. Okay, you may hear my dog in the background. She has got very sore paws, and so she keeps licking them, and I keep trying to get her to stop. But it's very hard when you're a doggy, and that's what you do. Okay, so I trying to think if I have anything to really talk about. I do see something that I need to show you. I didn't put it in my show notes and I forgot, which was very bad of me. Which I'll show you in just a few minutes because it's going to be for my Etsy shop. I dyed, I think it's a beautiful colorway this past week, and so it's going in the Etsy shop. Probably not until tomorrow because today is editing and all that stuff. Okay, so might as well get started with what's on my needles. I have not picked up the Afghan yet. I know I say that every week, and I will. I just have not done it yet. Um, my goal is I'm getting down on the number of pattern tests I need to do, so I'm going to be able to have more time for my own knitting. So I'll be getting back to Molly's Afghan as soon as I can then. There's no due date for it because she knows it's coming, but it's just whenever I can get it done. Okay, if you remember that was on Knit Swish DK, there's a link to that yarn, or actually to Knit. Whenever I mention Knit, there's always a link. Or if I mention Amazon or Barnes and Noble, there's links in my show notes because I'm an affiliate with each one of those. Sorry, I got something on my nails. Okay, I have been doing test knits for CC. My one for Mila is done. I'm not sure that it's released yet. And whereby I say mine's done, I ran out of yarn. So it's not really complete. So I really hate to show it. It is a beautiful pattern. Maybe I'll get it to where it doesn't look unfinished next week and I can show it to you. But I can show you I can show you a couple things I'm working on for CC only because they're socks and I've only got the toes done. But this, now I can't, after this week, I can't show you any more of this because it will be, I suppose I could show you the heels or the soles because it will be in the pattern. So this is one of her socks. But what I love about this is made out of, I have to look on my notes, I'm sorry, um, Stroll Gradient in the BFF colorway, and it's 75% merino, 25% nylon, and I love this yarn. And I already did the first sock, but look at this. So for the first sock, I just barely. I mean, when I got to the ribbing at the top, I was just barely to that color. So what I'm going to do after this is take this and work from the middle out. No, I'm going to work from the outside in, and because I'll have two skeins just like this, and I'm going to make a shawl. So the edges of the shawl will be this color, this pink, but the center of the shawl will be this pink. And my granddaughter said she's trying to get me to like pink. Well, I think Cece is too. And I do like this. And I love how this yarn feels and works up. So this will probably be a shawl for me when eventually, because I love shawls. Or I could give it to a friend, but I'm not sure. Then the other sock, I have turned the page. I'm looking at my knitting journal because I want to make sure I get the yarn names right. So I'm another sock I'm working on for Cece. No, it's not pink, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be pink. But this is the toe of that one. And I love this one too. I wasn't sure I liked this. Um, so this is a Knit Picks Chroma twist finger Chroma twist fingering weight, and the color is hollyhock, and I put it into a ball, but you can kind of see the color changes throughout this. I'm hoping this light's better. I've got the light behind the camera, so I'm hoping that will help somewhat. Okay, so let's see. Then I am still working on my scarf. It's all homespun yarn, and I'm just trying to use up the Irish knitting or yarn, but then I'm putting it with this brown. And let's see, I've got this much, so it's probably about, it might be 4 feet long. So I still have a little ways to go on that. I might have it finished next week. Not sure, but it's all homespun yarn. Um, I'm going to start making scarves and cowls out of my homespun yarn for the soup kitchen. So, okay, so there's that. Let's see what else. I don't have my scraps yarn sock. I haven't worked on it. I only have the one that's still done. But on New Year's Day, because I like to start something new on New Year's Day, with the one I cast on a shawl. I had to find it. If you follow me on Instagram, you will see that I did some snow dyeing, and maybe I'll put some pictures in if I can, either at the beginning or at the end of the podcast. But I didn't add any citric acid to the yarn because I figured Kool-Aid had enough in it. Usually, well, sometimes you do need to add more, but I haven't always. So I put a rainbow. I packed the yarn with snow. We had nice snow right before Christmas. So I packed it with snow, and then I sprinkled it with, like, I think it was 6 different colors of Kool-Aid on the top. Okay, and we have to keep the heater on in our little bathroom because the pipes freeze otherwise. So I just put it in the bathtub with that heater on, and the yarn melted, and I ended up with this. It's mainly white, but you see just flecks of color of the different Kool-Aid colors throughout. And and it is my sparkly yarn base. So I decided to make it into a soft yarn shawl. Now I'm still on the body part of it. But look at that. And I can't get the sun to reflect to show the sparklies in there. But it has stellina through it, which is the sparkly part of the yarn. I'm loving this, so I'm working on this a little bit every night because I'm loving it. I'm loving the way that yarn's working up. It's just gorgeous. So I have started that. That is from, I should tell you the pattern. It is actually the cover. I'm going to review this. I can't remember if I reviewed this book or not, but I love this book, so I'm going to review it again in a little bit. It's Soft Yarn Shawls, 15 lacy knitting shawl patterns, and all of them are made out of soft yarn. And the one I am making, they give you the instructions written out and in charts, which I like. And the one I am making is the very first one in the book, and it's called In Fluorescence. Isn't that beautiful? So that's the one I'm making. I will let you know as it goes along. And like I said, I'll review this book in just a few minutes. But right now, I want to get through the other things in order. So that's everything that's on my needles. I haven't finished that yet. I should tell you, this is the Viennese eggnog tea because I love it. It's a great way. It's got caffeine in it. It's a great way for me to wake up in the morning. I finished. Okay, this is fun. Oh, I didn't put the end in. I've almost finished my next chemo cap. Now, I want to show you this because I goofed up when I made it. The the stitch pattern I was using, I don't have a pom pom on it yet. So I'm hopefully going to put one on. Um, anyways, the stitch pattern I was using is written for straight knitting. My mind wasn't thinking that, and so I worked it up in the round, and every other row was basically backwards. But it does have a nice little pebbly effect on the outside. But if you trim it wrong side out, I like that. I don't know if you can really tell. It does have a nice little stitch pattern. So even though this is wrong side out, that's the way I'm going to make it. I'm going to put the green pom-pom on top, and it will be finished and ready to go. And that'll be my first hat for 2018. Ta-da! I haven't started another one yet. I'm going to start it this afternoon as I'm bouncing on my exercise ball, probably watching movies. I can't watch YouTube or anything from the internet while I'm uploading. So it's I just realized my computer's on in the background. Sorry about that. Um, the computer takes up too much of the energy as I'm uploading it to YouTube. So I usually sit and watch movies or bounce and watch movies while I'm doing it. I am very happy. I always have an I'm so happy section. Oh, by the way, that's all that's finished that I can show you. But I always have an I'm so happy section because sometimes it just pays to help you remember some of the things that have happened in the past week or that are happening currently that you are happy about. Well, we have knit along winners, knit along, crochet along, um, from the last 2 months, the knitting for others. I am so tickled. So, Miss Betsy Q, you won the skein of my partly cloudy yarn on the tweed base, and I hope you like it. I enjoyed making this. I When it came to naming it, I let my daughter and granddaughter pick the names, and probably my grandson before long, except for the one that I just did last week. Um, but she looked at this and she goes, "That looks like it'd be a partly cloudy day." So I said, "Okay, that's what it is then. It's partly cloudy." So Miss Betsy, that's yours. Um, I gotta get the next one. The shawl pin, which I love. I actually bought that for myself, but I don't really need it. So this is going to go to VT Kimmy Kim. I like your name. Then this double point needle holder, which was made by Miss Betsy Q. It has the orange, it has the little snaps on it. This goes, oh, I get the right name, to Try Linda. Yay! And you won the coloring book, Linda, so please let me know if you received it. Um, I have somebody else who was supposed to win yarn, and I gave it to my husband. My husband put it in his car, and we just discovered last week that he hadn't mailed it. So, any of you winners, after you notify me, if you haven't received your things in a couple weeks, let me know. Well, let me know when you receive them because I'll have to get in my husband's car and examine again. But anyways, this is Try Linda. You won this. You can always get on and thank Betsy for making it. It is beautiful. Anyways, then we have this yarn that I received from Knit Crates, oh, a couple months ago, and I put aside for a prize, two skeins of this yarn and this little bag which says Feel Good Yarn Company. Nice little project bag. That is all going to go to Catherine Kirby. Yay! And then our last thing is a set of jumbo locking stitch markers. They're from Clover, and those are going to go to LMECOLL because I never know how to say your name, but I know your name's Linda. So each one of you winners, you have 2 weeks from today, which is Wednesday, January 3rd. So you have what's that be the 17th to notify me. And if I do not hear from you, your prize will go back into the prize bin and will be used for a future knit along. So, yay. So yeah, I put down you have until the 17th. You need to notify me on Ravelry that you've seen it and then send me your addresses so I can mail them to you. And I will try to get after my husband to mail them right away. I'm so sorry for the one who didn't get it yet. I need to send her the tracking number too so she makes sure she can keep track of it. Now, Nick Crates has made me happy too. Where did I put that? Okay, yes. They have a they have many different knit crates, and I don't really need a lot of yarn, but I like to get a skein of soft yarn once in a while because I make a lot of socks, and you can make hats and shawls and all kinds of things with them. And I like surprises in the mail. Well, so I joined the Knitology. I don't really need a lot of patterns for socks because I can get them on Ravelry. This was last month. I signed up December 26th or 27th, and they were able to get this in the mail to me right away. That could be a shawl. It could be socks. It's just beautiful. So this was last month. This is mulled wine. Perfect. Um, it's a superwash sock, 80% superwash wool, 20% nylon, fingering weight, 400 yards, 100 grams, 4 ounces. Um, and they're exclusively hand dyed for Knit Crate. So if any of you are interested, I mean, they have many different um, monthly boxes. And if you're interested, I put a code under the I'm so happy part of my show notes. And yeah, none of them, you have to copy and paste all of them. They weren't the hyperlinks that you can press. But if you're interested, you can get a discount on your first box, and I can get a credit, which that's okay, but, if you use that code. So, and I know they have another sock one that comes with patterns. They have one that I think it's an every other month one that's they send enough yarn for like a shawl or something like that. And they have many different ones. So check out Knit Picks. And if you're interested, like I said, use that code that's in my show notes, and you'll get a discount, and I'll give a little discount on the future box, and just love it. Okay, so, oh, and one other thing that made me happy, I almost forgot. The yarn that's going to go in my yarn shop, I have not labeled it yet, but it does have a name. It is called Genevieve. If you remember a while ago, I did a yarn, and I will still do it again. I did a self-striping yarn called Genevieve Penelope yarn, and it was self-striping, and I had a variegated. Well, those were for her and our dragon story. This is just for Genevieve's colors because her favorite colors in the world are pink, purple, and red. So this, sorry, I did it in an immersion bath, and the underbase was pink, and then I did a top, uh, upper base, I guess you'll call, or upper layer with red, and then I finished it all off with purple. So this is the Genevieve. I know why the colors aren't right all the way. I have another light that I usually have on. By sitting here, I thought maybe I wouldn't need it. So this is the Genevieve. It will be in the Etsy store tomorrow. Look for it. Let's say tomorrow afternoon because I can't be guaranteed it'll get in there in the morning. If I don't feel good in the morning, it takes me a long time to get started. Um, I should have told you that along with the Knit Crate yarn, they send you bonus codes. Like they sent me a bonus code for 10% off of Ancient Arts Fiber, uh, 30% off at Kate Atherley on Ravelry for one of her patterns, 15% off at Bandit Fiber Company. I haven't looked this up. That's an Etsy store. Um, and 15% off at Asylum Fibers. So I'll have to check those out. I should have checked them out before I got on here. And then I guess yarn or knitology yarn has a knit along on Raspberry. So I will have to check things out. Anyways, I'm very happy with this yarn. It's a $24 value, and I got it for 20. Plus, you get these discounts, and so it's very worthwhile. So that's all of that. Now, to review my craft book that I am using right now. Things that I've done, I'm putting over here, except for my scarf because I have a reason I keep it there. So the book, as I introduced to you earlier, is Soft Yarn Shawls, 15 lacy knitting shawl patterns. And as I've already told you, I am doing this first shawl. It's called um, Inflorescence. Oh, it is beautiful. I thought, oh, I'm gonna pick this book up. I'm not gonna be able to pick one. And then I thought, you know what? If you like the first one, do the first one. It's an intermediate level, but it uses one skein of cloth yarn. I love it. I should say your cover's by. Cover's by Martindale, and it's written by Jen Lucas, and she does a very good job. The next pattern in here is called Ladybug, and it's also an intermediate. It's out of four levels. It's the number three highest. It takes one skein of also of I'm sorry, a fingering weight yarn. And there it is. I don't want to turn this cover on because then I'll start using music. It's amazing. I mean, I love wearing. I'm going to put one of mine on in fact 'cause I've been a little chilly lately. I wear them as scarves, and like if I have a sweater on, it just gives me a little more warmth and a little bit more color. Then they have one that's called Ardor. Ardor. I don't know how to say it. Ardor. I hate when I have to put my own face on the camera, but I'm not a big garter stitch lover, but I would probably like that one. I like the edging, and it's also 3 out of 4 in the skill level. One skein of this is done in Soulmates by Lorna Lace in the kerfuffle. So once again, one skein of salt yarn. On the one that I'm doing, yes, I think on all of them, they tell you that you can always make it bigger by adding another skein of yarn. I don't know if they told you that on the way. Yes, they did. Okay. And they tell you where to make it bigger and how to make it bigger. The next one is timpani. Sorry, timpani. And that's also a 3 out of 4 on the level. I think it's because the edges are lacy. So you need to be kind of familiar with how to do the lacy edges. Now that one takes 2 skeins, and it was made out of gloss from Knit Pits, which is a merino and silk yarn. Ooh, that would be so soft. So it takes 2, and they say if you want to make it bigger, just add extra yarn. I do have some yarn where I have 2 skeins. This is called Garter Love. Once again, I'm not a big garter stitch fan. Sorry, I'm hoping I'm not making you seasick. But I love that pattern. The author of this did a very good job. Oh, and that's also in 3 out of 4, one skein. They use Tosh Soft on that. I like Tosh Soft yarn. All over lace. Oh, I'm sorry. The section is all over lace shawls. Ooh, how pretty! Over the moon. That's it on her, and that's the. You can't see the back view as well. The lighting. There we go. I got it turned right now. And that takes one skein of fingering weight yarn. Oh, and it's advanced. It's 4 out of 4 on the levels. And yes, you can make it bigger. In fact, You can make it to, you can add a second skein, and then you could go ahead and make a third skein. Wow, how cool. This one is called Happenstance. So let me show you the charts. Somebody worked really hard to get those charts, to work on those charts. So I hate to show those. That's Happenstance. You can see the reason why I just picked the first one and went with it. There's a close up of the stitches. And it's a 3 out of 4. One skein of yarn. I love it. You know, I love making socks, but I love making shawls too. And I'm thinking there might be some friends of mine who might get shawls in the future. Whether they think they'll wear them or not, I think they would all look lovely in them. Did you hear me? Linda, Jenny, and Jamie, and possibly my sisters. It's a lot of people. We'll see. Anyways, this next one is called Franklin. And it's a 3 out of 4. Takes 2 skeins. But look at that. Oh my. How beautiful. And yet, oh, no, it doesn't say you can make it bigger. Oh, yes, it does. There are many ways to make it bigger if you want to. Erp, Erbstwald means autumn frost, they said. Okay. 17 and I have it like that. And this doesn't have a 3 out of 4, but it's called a intermediate. And it takes 2 skeins, and they use Soft Delicious and collage yarns in this one. Hmm. And here's another one called Harvey. It's a 2 out of 4, and it's only 1 skein of soft yarn. And yes, you can make it bigger. Then we're going beyond the triangle shawls. So here's one called Vintage Flair. And it's 3 out of 4 on skill level. 1 skein of yarn. I like it. Then there's one called Flower Garden. That's pretty. Oh, it's very experienced. It's 4 out of 4. 2 skeins of yarn. They use Soft Delicious and collage. Then they have Briargate. Okay, I haven't seen any I haven't liked. Yes, if you like making shawls. This is a 4 out of 4. Um, and it uses 2 different colors of yarn. From String Theory. I like them too. Then here, oh, this is cute. I don't know if I would wear it, but I could give it to somebody and they would wear it. Wedgwood. And it's a 4 out of 4. 1 skein of yarn. Labyrinth. I like the pattern down to that. I love lace work. I love cables. I love lace work. It's a 4 out of 4. 1 skein of yarn, but you can make it. Before I say that, I should check. It doesn't say you can make it bigger. So I haven't been looking on these last few. Maybe you cannot. And then they have the techniques, knitting abbreviation glossary, useful information, resources, acknowledgments, and about the author. So if you're interested in that, there is a link in the show notes that you can go Amazon or Barnes and Noble, and you should be able to find it. And there's a nice little link on both for both of those. Let's see. Then underneath that, I put the Knit Crates code for the $10 off coupon. I didn't put what I didn't put it for earlier. Yes, I do know. I still have a question to me about spindle knitting. I have not forgotten. I got the spindle out the other day, But then Cece sent another pattern to be pattern tested. And I feel like that is a commitment I have to meet. Um, she is like my boss, and so I like to make my boss happy. I just noticed you can see my little pictures of my grandkids in the wall. Okay, so what have I been reading, watching, and listening to? I've gotten through a lot of the Christmas movies, and so I've started watching Once Upon a Time again, and I'm weird. I know I'm weird. I like Top Gear. And I went back and I started watching it from the very beginning, and it's no the seasons I'm on are no longer on Prime. They are now on Netflix. So I started watching them on Netflix, and I just found out yesterday that these are going to be gone February 1st. So I've got to finish watching my Top Gear before long. But anyways, they just went to Africa. Even though the sports cars, I love looking at the sports cars, but I think my days of owning one are probably over. I don't think I could afford the insurance. So, so I've been watching those. I watched Ever After, the movie with Drew Barrymore. It's Cinderella's story. I like that movie. I'm actually gonna watch a Danny Kaye movie this afternoon. The Inspector General. Um. Oh, how could I forget this? I've also been watching many vlogmases. My favorites are the Knitting Expat. Expat. I love her. Geeky Girls. Inside Number 23, and I know there's others. Knitting Inside the Arctic Circle. Oh, Skandier. I can't forget her. Oh, I love her. So she does Norwegian. Oh, I have a woodpecker on my bird today. She does Norwegian knitting patterns, and that is what something I'm going to learn to do this year. I actually have one of her patterns, and I'm going to learn how to do it. She seems so personable that I think if I have questions, I can go on there and I can ask her. So, anyways, what have I been reading? Well, I've these are both books on my Kindle. No, oh no, but the one already went on paperback. So I read The Amish Knitting Circle by Karen Ann Vogel. I really enjoyed it. It brought in, well, this lady decided that she needed to have a knitting circle for people who were hit by a hurricane badly. They made shawls for them for the winter. And so she got together 5 women. One of them has a broken heart from a past relationship that is slowly getting mended. Another one has a broken heart. She wants to get out of her marriage because of abuse that was suffered to her. Another one always had self-image issues, and they're helping her get over those. So that and she's now got a boyfriend. One of them has health issues, and I always leave one out. Oh, and one didn't have any children, and they were working through solutions for that. So it's a wonderful book. I am not always a fan of Amish Mennonite books, which is funny because I grew up in Mennonite territory. But this one was really good. I'm going to read some of the sequels eventually too. Links. Oh, if you want to read my book review on the show notes, where the title is, you can click on that. Read my book review. If you're interested in buying that book, underneath the picture of the book on my show notes, I've got where you can get it on Amazon or you can get it on Barnes and Noble. Another one I read was Death at Thorburn Hall. I tell you, the whole time I was reading it, and when I went to review it, I kept wanting to say Thornburn. Now this is a sixth book in a series, but and they're mysteries. But I really didn't have issues following along. If you like a good mystery, um, I think that one was really good. It was by Juliana Deering, and it's set in Great Britain. And I thought, well, it was a really good mystery. I'm not going to tell you anything about it because if you want to know, you'll have to read my book review. But otherwise, it's a mystery. It's very good. What can I say? Okay, and my daughter, I don't believe I didn't see her. publish a new um, episode page, whatever, on her blog this week. But that's because with the holidays and um, her husband's mother is there visiting, and so they're very busy. They just went to the local science museum. I noticed pictures the other day, and they tried to wear that grandma out like the way they did me by going to the art museum and the train museum for the weekend. Then they were going to ask grandma to babysit that night. I told my husband, I said, I should have, if grandma wouldn't have been sitting right there, I would have probably said, that might not be the best thing because, she has issues with her joints too, and she just went walking for all this time, and now you're going to ask her to babysit two very active kids. I don't know if they did or not, but I realize that this is a good time for mom and dad to go on a date. But on the same day they did all that, I told my husband I would not have said no, but I would have been ready for bed the instant they came home, and I probably wouldn't have gone anywhere the next day. Although I don't think they have any activity. They might start their activities today. I'm not sure. Okay, so we finished our knitting for others. Knit along? Well, it's time to think about yourself. I want you to think about a little project that you would like to knit or crochet for yourself. It could be a pair of socks. It could be a shawl. It could be a scarf. It could be anything you want to. You have 2 months to finish it, so don't be too ambitious. Don't think that you can make a huge sweater or something unless you've had experience doing this in that time frame. Like for me, I am knitting these socks. Some socks. Some of the socks that I'm knitting for CC's are going to come to me. And in addition to that, I am doing a box of socks 2018 because I thought it sounded fun. And I'm pretty sure I could fill it up. So, just like I'm doing, I'm not going to put my socks, oh goodness, what happened? Into, my show notes just closed down, into our mid-long, but I am going to do this. Sorry, I had to find where I was. If I wanted to, I could knit for this and then poly dip into others if I wanted to, as long as it follows my rules and their rules. My rules aren't all that strict. I do have a few that you do have to follow. Like I said, it has to be for yourself. The prizes, as of right now, it depends how many entries we have. Like for the one we just did, I had 50 entries. So I like to make it so that multiple people can win. But it all depends on what I have and how many people have signed up and all this. But as of right now, it will be this skein of purple swallowtail variegated yarn that I out of Napier's yarns, Napier's knit. So the wife of Napier's yarn. It's a superwash merino, and it's some of my sparkly base, silver sparkly base, I believe. It's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% spolina. And oh, I love this yarn. My daughter named it Purple Swallowtail. It's after the Purple Swallowtail butterfly, and it is variegated. That'll be one of the prizes. If anybody else is interested in donating prizes to it, PM me on Ravelry and let me know, and we'll figure out how to do it. I mean, it could be a pattern, it could be a physical item that you have to mail to me, it could, whatever, you know, just let me know. Let's see what else. Oh, when you have finished an item, go to the Ravelry thread, knitting for others, or knit. I'm sorry, knitting for self, crafting for self, because it can be knitted, it can be crocheted. Um, and put a picture. And if you have a pattern name, that's always appreciated. Maybe not by my husband, but by me, because the person that has the most patterns at the end wins. Not this. That's in life. That's what I always tell my kids and my husband. Well, the person that has the most patterns at the end of their life wins. Um, I'm sorry, I'm skipping around on this. Winners will be chosen with the random number generator, just like I did this one. I go by the number of entries there are, put it in the random number generator, and then it depends how many prizes I have to give away. I reset it every time. Winners do have to be a member of the Naturally Kim's Knitting podcast group in order to win. If you are not a member, you cannot win. The thread will be locked on the morning of March 1st, and the winners will be drawn that on the podcast day following that. I don't know what day the first falls on. If it falls on a Wednesday, then I'm drawing it on the first. But if it's not, I'll draw it whenever the next podcast is going to be made. For any and all giveaways, prizes, competition, knit-alongs, whatever that I host, the winners have 2 weeks from the day that I make the podcast to claim their prizes. Um, just like the ones that I drew today, you have 2 weeks from the day that I am making this podcast, so that's the third, to claim your prizes. I say that because all you have to do is PM me on Ravelry and let me know your address for the physical things, and if there's anything like a Ravelry pattern to be given away, I can get it to you once I know that you've seen the podcast. If you do not claim your prize within 2 weeks, the prize gets forfeited and put back in my prize bin. Okay. I want to thank you guys for understanding the rules. If you have questions, please put a little note underneath the thread or at the end of my show notes, and I will try to answer your questions about it. That's just like anytime you have any questions about anything, feel free to put it on Ravelry. I have a thread, you may have to dig a little bit, called Questions for Me. Just put them under there, and I will get to them. Okay, I think I've covered everything. I had a lot to cover today, so I'm glad I got through it all. Yeah, I think that was it. So where can you find me? Well, you can find me online. You can find me on Ravelry as Napier's Knits, and then that's my personal one. Then Naturally Kim's Knitting is the podcast group. On Etsy, I have my Etsy store under Napier's Knits. Instagram, I'm knitting underscore Kim, and I love, love, love to see creations and pictures and things that people post on Instagram. I just love them. And on YouTube, Blogger, Facebook, and WordPress, I'm Naturally Kim's Knitting. Oh, I missed something that made me happy. I don't have it with me right now, but you will see it next week because KnitPicks is having a yarn sale, 20% off their cotton yarn, which is cotton linen yarn blend. I put it at the end of my show notes. I meant to put it up higher. So anyway, I just ordered 2 skeins of that. I'm going to see how it will be for making dishcloths. So anyways, if you're interested in that, there is a link. I will try to move it up in my show notes so that it's where it belongs, under what makes me happy. Um, anyways, I think that's it. I'm so glad you guys decided to visit with me today. Oh, I was trying to figure out what something was behind me. We have a lampshade on upside down because otherwise the light shines wrong. Um, anyways, I want to thank you for visiting with me today and putting up with those little crazy things like that. Um, whether this is your first time or you've watched me for a long time, I love each one of you. I hope that you have a successful week with whatever projects you're doing. I hope you do not have mistakes, but if you do, I hope they are manageable and fixable. I love each and every one of you. Talk to you next week. Bye bye.